So hey guys, welcome to the YouTube channel. Whenever you've just come across this playlist by accident, or you are someone who's done a posture consult with me, this is the Get Out of Pain Challenge. So you're doing 100 repetitions of 7 different exercises, so one for each of the week. And you'll notice there's some videos in between those that are just variations of the exercises and just some other thoughts. This video will be some other thoughts. Me doing some different variations on day 1, so welcome. If you want to skip this video and save this one for next week, that would be cool. You could do that, because let's keep it simple, right? And then add on a little bit every time. So actually, it's more intentional. It's harder every time you do it. Getting through 100 is a lot, so if you wanted to break that up throughout the day, that is fine as well. It doesn't really benefit you to do 100 in a row if your posture is going out the window. And it always kind of will near the end. So I'm going to try to do, there's be 25, 25, 25, 25 little variations here. So let me roll out these.
Alright guys, so what's mainly different about this approach and changing this one up is none of the exercises, they're all kind of weighted in the heels. We have the 3 points of contact, but here we're hinging at the hips and then pushing the weight or into the ball of the foot. So the heel is just hovering above the ground a hair. As we drive those arms up, I'm hinging a little bit more, and I'll show this in the side view in a second, that the heels are kind of almost grazing the ground, touching again, and then letting them rise up again. So that gives us a little deeper hinge and just weights us a little bit differently to help, focus the calves a little bit more and work that Achilles tendon. A lot of us have Achilles tendon that's a little bit bowed to the side and the ankles turns. This can help really decompress and push off the ground a little bit more than always resting on the heels, and just changing things up, adding a little variety to the 7 exercises we already did. So this is very similar to day 1, still decompressing, elbows, wrists together, and hinging. You can see that heel there, just a hair up in the ground. Everything else just about the same as we had it. A lot of tension on the hamstrings, calves activated, tension in the back as well. This whole exercise is for the shoulders too. It's just we can't hit those shoulders unless we're in that hinge position. This next one I'm going to do is a shoulder exercise that I give to a lot of people. It's a tricep stretch. So pulling that tricep up, getting in the hinge position. So instead of bowing the spine back, we're getting that tension on that tricep earlier. So the spine is resisting its urge to kind of extend and compress by keeping us in that hinge position. So this one works well with this, going up and over top. What I like about these is instead of stretching and holding, you're adding more repetitions in there. See, I was really into that hinge, so it just knocked me over. And that's kind of what you want, guys, is to be fighting for balance. If this stuff is easy and you have perfect balance the whole time, then the question is, did you really do anything? And you want it to be a little unsteady. You want to push for that balance. Don't find that spot that's super comfortable. Find that spot that's a little uncomfortable, a little shaky, and that will help. So you can really see how the arm comes up, the spine's not doing too much. A lot of times the hips will come forward and the lower spine will cave in when people do this stretch. This is a stretch that I give a lot to people. So with pushing the hips back into the hinge position, that prevents that spine from extending and from the hips going forward. So we're doing 25.
So that one's really good. Some people do that stretch. They kind of cave in, so that forces that chest to be high. So you get that stretch a lot earlier. Give that stretch to a lot of people, because they'll have one shoulder lower than the other, and you can really feel it in the spine. They always feel like a ribs out. They don't realize that they're really hiked like that. So that'll automatically correct that shoulder and bring it up level with the other one. Windshields.
Alright, so we're going to do some windshield type ones. Not the windshield where you're on the ground with the legs, but almost more like a jumping jack. So pulling the arms up overhead, and I'm putting, I know you can't see it there, but putting my thumb and pointer finger together and staying in that hinge stance. So when the arms come up, the tendency is to shrug the shoulders, just try and drive those shoulders down. This is much harder in a hinge position. It's almost the same idea as like a shoulder press. If you watch people do that, the more weight they have on there, you're going to see they're kind of extend at that spine, compress their spine. They're going to lean back to lift that heavier weight up. And the way we're doing it here is we're actively pulling our shoulders down and actually driving the shoulder blades down as we bring those arms up. And that's the same way with the shoulder press. If you want to do that right, you can come more, almost even if you're sitting, into a hinge position like this, where you're not extending the spine and compressing it and actually hunching your shoulders to drive those weights up. You're pushing the shoulders down, keeping the shoulder in the socket, the glenohumeral joint, that humeral head in the glenohumeral joint, compressed in that socket. So if you ever have clicking, popping in and out, you might need to just compress more actively. Same thing we're doing with the hips. We're pushing those into the socket, really stabilizing there, having a good foundation, and setting the shoulder workout to work for you. Last one, you could do this one a couple different ways, more like a Tai Chi looking exercise, just another little thing, hitting those triceps. So we're coming up, I'm trying to push that elbow along my eye level. This is a good another anti-rotation exercise. The spine is fighting to stay straight as the arm pulls across the body. It's a little easier, but then you kind of feel that each hip having to push off to kind of counterbalance that the anti-rotation we're going for. You can also just do a push across your body. I was doing that earlier this morning. I actually like that one too. Another good kind of anti-rotation exercise. That's why Tai Chi is all about balance, and they put their weight differently than this, and the hinge stance is different, but it's the same idea. Is you're trying to move just one joint while everything else is stabilizing. And they would explain that differently than I will, but that's essentially it. And that's good for our spine, because we're bringing our spine into as much length as possible.
So those were good.
And then we're
Hope you enjoyed that.
moving that shoulder.
Some different variations on that first exercise. Really good for those triceps. Opening that up, getting the chest high, but also being on the toes the whole time. A little more calf activation, a little more foot activation than those other 7. So I really wanted to add that in. So it's a good variation to try, or even just do 100 of that first variation. Try to move into the toes a little bit.